Hi, my name is Szymon Kozłowski. I'm a professor of astronomy from Warsaw, Poland. I have a YouTube channel where I show you movies about meteorites and meteorite-related things. Today I'm in Czeski Krumlow. This is southern part of Czechia, very close to the Austrian border. And today I'm visiting the Museum of Moldavits, which is behind me. I'm going inside there in a second. I will meet there an expert on Moldavits, a person who runs this place. He is Vít Kršul. Let's get inside and see how this museum looks like. So this is how it looks like when you enter. You can buy tickets in here. This is the price, 149 korons, which is about 6 euros or about 25 zloty. You can go to the description of the movie. There will be a link where you can find the prices for the year when you watch this. Today is May 2nd of 2025. When you watch it in 3 years, it may be different, but this is where you enter the museum. This is where you buy tickets. Let's see how the museum looks like inside. This is where the entrance to the museum is, but before the entrance you can touch a number of Moldavits that are on this display in here. After touching these pieces, you can have a look in here. The museum owns a private mine, so these are Moldavits that were mined in this private mine. We are going there today. Later on we will see how it looks like. We will dig some Moldavits. We will see how to do this, but before the entrance you can have a look like on the best pieces that were found in that mine. All right, it's time to have a look at the Moldavits in the museum and discuss what they are, their origin, and everything about Moldavits. Let's get inside. Come with me. So we are in the Museum of Moldavits right now. With me is Vít Kršul, who is an expert on Moldavits. Hi Vít, how are you doing?
Hello, welcome.
Can I have a very simple question for those who have never heard about Moldavits? What is a Moldavite?
Moldavite is a natural glass created by a meteorite impact about 15 million years ago. We are quite lucky because the Moldavite struck exactly at the place where suitable material was deposited, and this material was in a split of a second turned into a jewel.
Yes, so we have a very nice map of Central Europe in here. We have some labels, some locations. So what is the origin of Moldavites and where can we find them?
The map is quite simple but shows the main thing. The Moldavites were created in a meteorite impact about 15 million years ago. Interesting is that the Moldavites are found in different places and different layers and quite far from the original crater. It took the scientists many years of research to actually find out that they came from this crater and come to Czech Republic or to today's localities by flight. They flew through the air, the 250 to 400 kilometers, flew to the height of 40 kilometers and fell down and scattered around here and were buried in the sediments which were created at the old times. And if we found rests of these sediments, we may find Moldavites inside of them.
Yeah, how many locations with Moldavites do we have right now, roughly?
Many.
Many? Okay.
Yeah, they are scattered around the landscape, but they are very small. Okay. So you cannot design it as a one big patch in the map. Actually, there are very small places scattered around in the landscape.
Yes, but from what I can see, this is like southern Czechia, Austria, right? Germany.
Yeah.
So this is like...
The color is the same, but the abundance of Moldavite is quite different. More than 99% of Moldavites come from southern Bohemia. Less than 1% come from Moravia. And the localities marked here in the map are very poor. A couple of Moldavites were found there. But it's good to know that the Moldavites fell down even in these distant areas.
Can I have another maybe very silly question? What does it mean, Moldavite? What is the origin of this name, Moldavite?
The name has quite a long story, because the first time Moldavites were described by a scientist, it's more than 200 years ago. And at that time, the language of educated people was German. That's why they got a German name after the name of the river, Vltava, which is in German, Moldav. Here we see Moldavites from different localities, and on the specimens we see that they are found in different types of sediments. It means in different environments, and they can be deposited with almost no transport, preserving their shape as they fell down with the angular pieces of rocks just washed down to nearest gully or ditch, to the better sorted sediment like sand and gravel ones from Chlum. You see it's better sorted, the pieces are more rounded, up to the beach sediment near Koroseki, where the pebbles are really nice, rounded and well sorted.
So basically this transport does change the shape of a Moldavite, right?
Yes.
From like...
if they are transported for a longer distance, they get rounded more. Yeah.
And how about the surface?
The surface is very special. You can see the strange sculpture on the surface, which is done not by the transport, but consequent chemical corrosion in the layer they were deposited. They were buried in the sediments, and water creep through and dissolve the glass in the long term. And when the water, underground water, was really aggressive, the sculpture can be really deep. The corrosion can go really deeply into the glass. So then some Moldavites can be looking like hedgehogs even.
Okay. And we have some examples in here.
Yes.
So I can see plenty of green color. Why is it green?
Because the original sand was well sorted, was rich in silica, and was quite similar to the material we use for making bottles at the glass factories. But of course it was made by nature, so the color is not always exactly the same green, but it ranged from very light green, sometimes even like very vivid green, to olive green or even brown. And most of the Moldavites are like normally green.
So we have a number of Moldavites in here with different shapes. Some of them are shown here. What are the basic types of shapes?
The shapes were formed during the flight because the Moldavites started from their source in a liquid state and went to the height of 40 kilometers where it's quite cold,
yes,
and they solidified. So the shape was formed in the flight by the aerodynamic forces, resistance of the air and rotation. So the shape we can easily imagine is a teardrop, but there can be also spheres, discs, or even a dumbbell. If the material is rotating, the material is pushed to the side, yes, of the rotation. Yes. Sometimes the dumbbell may tear apart, so then they can form again a teardrop. But most common are many types of different splash forms. You can imagine it as you want, actually. Many pieces of liquid glass thrown into the air.
Yes. How often do we find specimens like these?
Very rarely. Because
these look really nice.
The glass cooled down very quickly. It has very strong inner tension, which actually breaks the Moldavites into pieces. Many scientists even thought that most of the Moldavites even fell down already broken to parts. So, and if you imagine a piece of glass you throw out of the window, you can imagine how much will survive of it. So if we found a whole piece, the splash form, it's very rare. On the other hand, there are many rounded pieces which were rounded by the transport. Okay. So that's not the same thing, but they are also quite popular among collectors.
Are there any other locations in the world with tektites?
Oh, yes. There are similar glasses found around the globe. The most, let's say, famous or abundant is the tektite from Southeast Asia, found in many places and really big quantities and even in big sizes. It's not as old as Moldavites are, like not even 1 million years. So it's not many pieces were destroyed, and they are found in big quantities sometimes. So we have them here. There are also similar impact glasses, because the impacts are really big events with a lot of energy revealed, and then the rocks around are melted. So glassy stuff is found around most of the craters, but they are not really tektites, because tektites have to fly away and form the aerodynamic shape during the flight. And also there are some glassy materials if the rocks are cooling down quickly, like from the volcanoes. The obsidian glass is formed, or if the lightning strikes, for example, the sand in Sahara Desert, it makes the glassy tubes on the way down to the ground.
Which tektite is the most beautiful of all?
Moldavites, of course, because
yes,
the source material was well sorted and quite clean. The other tektites are black and not translucent, so they cannot be really used in jewelry. Moldavites are really beautiful stones, so for me it's clear.
Yeah, let's have a look at some jewelry.
Okay.
You mentioned the beauty of Moldavites. We have some really nice examples. What can you tell us about these really beautiful jewelry pieces?
Yes, since the 19th century, the people really appreciate the beauty of Moldavites. They are used in jewelry, and it continues up today. Here you can see some pieces made in a style of Art Deco, or some modern engravings or jewelry. The Moldavites have the advantage they can be used even in the natural form, because their shape and the structure of the surface is very interesting. It's unique. No other stones have some shapes like that. And if you take a Moldavite, each piece is a unique piece of natural glass. So if they are not damaged, they can be used as they are, created by the nature. Or usual way of using stones is to cut them and make the forms used in jewelry, and they can be used this way as well. The modern history of Moldavites was full of question. It was real mystery where they come from. Because if you find something in nature, usually find the source. There was nothing similar to these glass pieces, and some scientists even don't think it's a natural stuff. They thought there are remains of some old glass factories, but the researchers who were in the field, they saw it's in the layers very old. Where there were no people here at the time, so they believe it's a natural thing, but it was of different composition from all the material around southern Bohemia. And they were found the same glass in very different layers, very different places. So they thought it may fell down from somewhere else, maybe from a big volcano somewhere around here, but there's nothing like that around here. So they think it may be a volcano from moon. Yeah, but when the astronauts brought the pieces of moon rocks and make research, they exclude the moon theory because it's totally different from the moon as well. It might be a glassy meteorite flying by the earth and get molten, but it has also different material, or no meteorites like that are found. So the only theory which lasts until today is the impact theory.
Yeah, so we have a large number actually of Moldavites in here with different shapes, textures. Some of them are like whitish, I would say, white color on the surface.
Yeah.
Some of them are flat. What are the differences and what's the reason for them?
In this case, we see different Moldavites from different localities. So we see that they are found in different places. Even the glass is quite the same. The appearance of the specimens can be totally different. The first thing is the transport. Around it, the glassy pieces, the angular pieces to more rounded shapes. And when they were buried in the sediment, the water flowing or creeping through the rocks corroded the Moldavites and their surface. And the sculpture on the surface is quite distinctive. No other stones have something similar on their surface. And interesting is, it can be really different from particular locality and another locality. Because the environment around the stone was different. So in some places we can see very deep corrosion making the Moldavites looking like a hedgehog, like very spiky outlook. Some are rounded to very flat surface, and something between, like a bit corroded, but with some distinctive rills or spikes or holes, and this all make the appearance, and it can be quite specific for each locality. The most famous from this point of view is probably the locality Besednice, where the Moldavites were really formed into a hedgehog shape.
Really nice, yeah.
So deep corrosion we know only from this locality, and the stones were really popular among the collectors, and the illegal diggers made big harm to the environment there. So finally in 2003 a company became a license to dig out all the Moldavites from here, which was done until 2006, and from that time there is nothing left. And the price of these special Moldavites really skyrocketed.
Yes.
But there are similar structure from places which are somewhere else also, but they are not so deep, not so distinctive with the spikes. For example, Slavče u trhových svinů, they can be quite spiky looking as well. And for example, Třebanice also is quite far from there, but some pieces can be really nicely corroded. And on the other hand, on the other side of the range are the well-rounded Moldavites, which they have also almost no sculpture.
Yes.
Yeah. And interesting is the strange white sculpture, which was probably done by the corrosion, which stopped at some certain time.
Okay.
So the water wasn't able to remove the remnants or the products of the chemical corrosion, and it sticked on the stone. People don't recognize it as a Moldavite, but it's the glass, just changed a bit.
So what would happen if we cut it open?
Yeah, it's green inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The glass is completely green, all pieces. Okay, it can be a bit brownish at some localities. We can say on every locality we found the full range of colors, but statistically green are more abundant in Czech, and more brownish stones are coming from Moravia. But we know the brownish stones from our localities as well.
Can anyone go and search for Moldavites in Czechia, or is it allowed?
You can stroll the fields and you probably will be tolerated because you don't make any harm to the nature or to the fields. If you try to dig, it's really bad, it's dangerous, it's illegal, except if you go to a mine. So there are now 2 official mines in Czech Republic. One is the famous locality Chlum nad Malší, and the other one is the Besednice, running by our museum. Chlum is working in long term, producing material for building like gravel and sand, and Moldavites are welcome byproduct. And our mine, run by museum, is by purpose for Moldavites only. And the purpose is to allow the people to find their own Moldavites in this mine, legally.
Yes, and this is what we will do now. We will go to the Besednice mine and we will show you how to find your own Moldavite.
Okay, so this is the area where actually the most famous localities are, except the Koroseki, which is near Budějovice. Chlum nad Malší is a big sand pit producing sand and gravel for building materials more than 30 years, and officially producing Moldavites for many years. Then there were some unofficial localities like Slavče u Trhových Svinů, which was here and here. There were two places on both sides of the village. Actually, Besednice is probably the most famous locality because of the spiky hedgehogs which are found here, or better to say, they were found here. They were mined out completely in 2006. The deposits of these hedgehogs, and there are other places with Moldavites around this village of Besednice, where Moldavites are found in the fields, and sometimes people are digging for them, like in this area north of Besednice. And this is the area also where we have done the research for our deposits. We could probably mine with the people, and one of them was luckily here just near the farm, when we can take electricity and water and so on we need for mining. So we opened the first mine here, and we know about two more places where Moldavites are, and probably it will be done in the future. The similar deposits as are here, where on the another localities I told you, layers with very short transport. The pieces of Moldavites are sharp and angular, and the sediments are completely unsorted, like mixture of clay, sand, big stones, everything together, with the transport just a couple of meters to the nearest ditch. And Chlum is a bit different. The layers of very well sorted sand and gravel are much thicker, and the place is also bigger. Like the localities here means the layers with Moldavites are in the area like tens, maybe 100 meters, but not more. The mine or the sand pit at Chlum has already a couple of 100 meters, and the same layers we can found in the field here. We will go there soon, and even similar sediments are here in this forest. And it was probably a valley of a river which deposited these layers. They are quite similar in all these, like, band, can we say. And the sediments we are here are just islands of the tertiary sediment scattered around this area, but very small by size, by area.
We had a nice experience with Moldavites. I'm finishing this episode right now, again in front of the Museum of Moldavites. I hope you enjoyed this film and see you next time.